Hello to everybody and welcome in my channel and to my playlist Sewing Made Easy. Maybe you watched my video yesterday where I explained to you exactly how you can do a pattern for this particular dress that I'm wearing here. And I also promised you at the end of that video, the day later, you will get my video how you can sew this. So I hope you've been busy. You used the time that you had to stay at home, did the pattern, and so we can start today to cut the material and to sew this lovely dress. Are you ready for it? Then we can start this video right now for you. So I hope you prepared your pattern, you got your material out which you like to use, and this is exactly what I've done. Well, you can see my sleeves here. As you know, I do already have the video how exactly to do the sleeves with the loops in YouTube. If you haven't seen it, please look in my information box underneath. There is the link to it. So when we start, you first, after you've done all the cutting, can prepare your sleeves exactly as you've just seen it here. The back you cut exactly like you got your dress back. And if you do have some darts, like I've just shown you here with the little points, you mark it ready to go on the sewing machine with it. So we start by looking at the left side from the front dress part. I got my little pattern here for you again, as shown in the video how to do the pattern. And you can see here that I've also pinned the facing on the back, so you see it in small what it looks like, and exactly this is what I've also done to my proper material and the left side with the facing. And the facing, you can probably see it slightly, that I did press an interfacing onto my lapel part from the facing for a firm hold and stand while wearing the dress later. But it's only a thin interfacing because this is not a jacket where I would put a much thicker one in. This is only a dress, so I also wanted to really fall smooth and easy like a dress. The material I've chosen is a jersey, a cotton jersey material, and it really has a nice feel for it. Now, I had a little problem finding the right white color to fit exactly my contrast part here. So the one I found was really too thin for me. I thought, what can I do, because the color matches totally the white, because you know white is not actually white. So this was the only one that really matched perfectly. So I decided to take this material anyway, but so it will not shine through totally like that, I will cut my piece from the right side twice. And when I do that, of course, it has to be really exactly the right size, both of the parts. So then you once go all the way around the sewing machine on the edge on around 5 millimeters only. And if you have a dart, then you have to stitch the material through the middle of the dart down first. Otherwise, you will not be able to get this dart stitched well as it should be. And of course, for my right side, I have to cut the lapel, the facing lapel, exactly the same as I did for the left side. And I also ironed an interfacing onto it, same exactly on the left side. So that is all the preparation I have to do to start my sewing. And I start with the most easiest jobs of all. I first will stitch my darts from the back part. Then I will stitch the darts from my front, left and right piece, of course. The sleeves are done already, as we know. We don't need to look at them at all at the moment. Then I take lapel facing parts, put right side onto right side and close with 1 centimeter seam as I allowed it, the color seam in the back, as you see here on the pattern. And then I take my main front parts, left and right, also put right on right side together, and I also close the back middle seam 1 centimeter. As soon as I've done those first sewing jobs, I have to stitch my piping onto my main front part. As soon as you've done all those jobs, put it on your cutting table and check all your seams if you're satisfied with your job so far. Then pin your right side of the dress together. You remember we put some cuts there in the waistline. So pin that on top of each other, because later on we will also exactly stitch that right side of the seam together. So you see exactly already what your part here will look like. So if you like to do it like I'm doing my dress with a piping in the lapel edge, then this will be now the next job. And you start on your left front part in the corner as I've just shown it to you and stitch all the way along. In that underneath corner you start, but I'm just putting it right now here on the top so you see what I mean. I'll stitch it all the way around on, because later on it will fall over like that. And that is exactly my next job now on the sewing machine. I do this with a 1/2 foot and I stitch it on, so only the edge that later on should show out as a piping is still showing when I stitched it on now. And that's exactly what it looks like when I put my piping all the way along the edge here from my dress on. You can see it automatically wants to roll over already all the way along the collar on the top till in that corner underneath. And now we take the back. I show you this first here on the cutting table because it's easier and to explain and probably also better to see what I'm going to be doing now. But I will also then show it to you on the sewing machine. Now, one important thing is mark your neck on your back part in the middle. You need a mark so later on you can really put your seam from your collar exactly in the middle. So put your back down facing the right side up towards you. Now take your shoulder, put right on right material together. There on your right side showing now, this is your armhole. And you will start sewing exactly on your armhole part there, going towards the middle. Now, I mark this for you so you see exactly what I mean, because you're going to be stitching 1 centimeter. But to then turn later on, you really got to see this, that this is far into this corner where you will turn it to go around your next stitching then there. So if you're not firm how to do this, if you have a material where you have the allowance to do a couple of points for marking, so you know exactly how to stitch, where to stitch to, then you should do this. But let me show it to you on the sewing machine. My back part's lying on the machine with the right side up, as shown on the cutting table just for you, and my front part with the shoulder here starting on the armhole is lying on top of each other. Now I make sure that I really have my cutting edges lying exactly edge on edge. And now you can see I marked this a little bit here. So I really have to stitch all the way into this corner that I marked to then be able to turn, because also underneath I need to have everywhere 1 centimeter. Now there's different ways of doing it. I show you my 2 possibilities here. The best way to do this corner is to leave your needle stuck in the material when you reach the point where you have to turn. Then take your scissors and underneath your foot, your presser foot, you cut exactly towards the needle and stop right in front of the needle, but only the front material, not the back part. That one you won't cut, because then when you've done that, you can turn around and just continue your 1 centimeter stitch. Put your seam from the back apart, that's always better, and stitch across to your next corner. And on this corner, I show you the other possibility how to do it. Again, I must first of all look exactly how far do I have to stitch. I have to really be on this point where my two seams then will cross over. And there now, the second possibility how to do it is you do some back stitching so your stitches are held right there. Take it out from underneath the machine and check again, do you have everywhere this 1 centimeter stuck over? And now you cut exactly towards your last stitch that you've just done there. And now you have to go exactly on top of the seam that you've done there before. Do a couple of stitches, back stitches, so it won't open up for you later on. And now leave your needle stuck in the material and turn your top part around. Make sure you don't get any pleaches stitched in. And now you finish your shoulder from the other side right there in the 1 centimeter seam allowance that you maybe or hopefully also have done like me. And now you look at your result, look in the corners that you didn't put any funny pleaches in or something. It's got to be really nice and exact in the corner. But as I said to you, my favorite way to do it is like I showed you in the first corner as I did it, because it gets much more exact, because you don't have the risk of not getting exactly into your stitches in again. And sometimes, as you know, let's say you're working with black material, it's always so difficult to really see the stitches well. Now it's time to take your facing and you put right side against the right side. Maybe this job now you should first do on your cutting table again, because you should put yourselves all the way around some marks into the material in which position exactly you will have to stitch this part together, because that makes it so much easier for you. And the more cuts you will actually add into your complete edge, as it's quite a way round on this lapel now, the better it will be. You might not even need any pins to put in, because you will be stitching from your mark to the next mark to the next mark, and that makes it so easy. Now again, as you can see, I put a half foot on my sewing machine, exactly what I said to you before, putting the piping on the first side on. And now it's so easy as I'm stitching on this part where I see my seam from stitching the piping on. All I have to do is go all the way around this part now, exactly on top of my stitching that I already have there, which is very visible. And like you've just seen a second before, I look for my next mark that I got in my edge. So I put mark on mark, and I continue all the way around till I get into the corner of the back, exactly where I got my piping on. Voila! And there I am already in my corner. That is my end for my lapel to stitch on. And you can see that's already all the way done and is very nice. To continue with the next job, you should either hang your part, which is halfway finished now, onto your doll, or you go like me on your cutting table again to check everything you've done so far. If you're satisfied with it, it's always important to check in between, because it's no good to continue and continue without knowing, oh, did I do everything really for my satisfaction? So put your parts on top of each other again, as you can see here. And hopefully you didn't forget by your cutting to do this mark for your waistline, because now we have to decide how far do you want your lapel to roll over? How deep should your front part go? Because that is the decision exactly from where on we will have to stitch this edge or iron it flat, however your decision will be. And as well, it's right away the decision exactly where will you put your buttons? Will they go quite high, or will you only have them some low down? To make this decision, it's quite easy, because I know right here is my waistline, and I got the marks on both sides. And I decided I want my buttons just above the waistline, and to that position where my first button will start, that's approximately where I want the lapel to roll over. And that means from exactly that position on, I will now stitch my whole edge from the lapel flat down. So mark yourself that position where you want to start your stitching, or like I do it, I hold it exactly in that position, which is about 2-3 centimeters above my waistline. And with this, I go to my machine and stitch all the way around that long curve into that corner where my piping started. And here you can see the result. That's where I started, exactly there, where I held it, where I wanted to, and I stitched all the way into that corner, and this edge is now really nice and flat. Now my next job is to finish off the back of my collar. So I will, from the shoulder corner to the other shoulder corner, fold this part just 1 centimeter over, put it exactly on top the seam underneath, and I will stitch from the shoulder corner to the other shoulder corner. And the material there, you just have to cut in a little bit so it can fold out. So that's my next job, from corner to corner, from shoulder to shoulder, to finish off the color in the back. And after that comes the nice job, because we start seeing how the results at the end will be. So again, put your parts on top of each other as if they are stitched already. Exactly your waistline dot on top of each other, and pin all the way the edge along, because that's the first thing you should do now. Stitching those two parts from your right side together on around 5 millimeter widths, so later on this seam is not visible. It's only a helping seam to put those parts nicely together. Then put really the two parts nice and flat, totally flat, no widths in the underneath or above on top of each other, because from there where you haven't been stitching, as you know, we stitched the top part earlier on flat. That means now all you have to do is from where you started or finished your edge seam up there, from there on we will stitch these parts on top of each other now. So put as many pins in as necessary for your sewing and stitch exactly that part nicely down now. As soon as you've done that job, you should maybe hang it on your doll or put it on yourself in case if you do not have a doll, because the next part is quite important. We have not done the side seam yet or the hem on the bottom, because we have to concentrate and look on our lapel, because you should pin down now your lapel exactly as you want it to roll over, because you know the inside is not really firm yet. It would come out, it would slip out when we're wearing it. And that is exactly what we have to stitch down now. And to find the right position where to do this is the easiest way of doing it on the doll. First of all, check exactly, that's how I want it to roll over. And then maybe take your pins and pin them in the edge where your roll should be, because then you can see exactly how your part of the facing is lying inside. And then when you stitch it, you know you can go approximately 2 or 3 centimeters inside from your pins that you put in. So you know exactly, here is my pin. And now when I look on the underneath, I can go about 2-3 centimeters on the side from my pin to fasten down my lapel exactly in the position where I want it. And then my facing will not come rolling out when I wear the dress. With other words, my next job is now to stitch the lapel down. And of course then, what I have to do, I'm practically at the end. I will stitch my side seams. I will do my hem on the bottom in the lengths I want my dress to be. And as I prepared all my sleeves already, all I have to do is stitch my sleeves in. Then comes the nice job. It's the finishing job to have a look. Which buttons can I use now? Should I use those big black ones? Should I put 3 on? Should I put 2 on? I'm not quite sure. I think they're a little bit too heavy for this dress. So I have another look. I got some nice mother of pearl buttons, but this isn't really the best solution either. So I have a look at these little red buttons, but I think they're a little bit too bright because my piping is a wine red and these are a little bit too bright. No, I decided against them as well. So have a look at those. I think that could be the right ones. They have a bit of the dark red, in the middle they're black, but should I put 3 on or 2 on? Even that decision I haven't really decided on. I think I put 3 on because I'm not a size 34. I'm a little bit bigger, so 2 wouldn't really be enough. I think this is my decision and I will stitch them on. Well, my dear friends all over the world, this is actually the end of my video for this dress for you. I really do hope you enjoyed me making this big job for you. Yes, it takes some time. Of course, that is right. But therefore, you will have a dress that nobody else has and wears. So decide which kind of colors, which kind of materials would you like to put together and make yourself that dress. And I'm sure you will not regret it. You will love it and it will make your day. So I like to say goodbye to you now. Take care, stay healthy. Please give me some thumbs up because I find that whenever I do an English video, all I seem to be getting is thumbs down and I got no idea why. All right, I really hope you enjoyed it. So bye for now. Until next time. Yours, Lilo. Tschüss.